Today we will discuss the 5 colic myths I used to believe. Now I know better. I thought I knew why my baby was crying. Turns out I was completely wrong. For weeks, our home was filled with a sound that felt like it was vibrating the walls. Just high-pitched, inconsolable screaming. I felt like a total failure as a parent. My body was just humming with this constant, low-grade panic, and my mind was racing through a checklist of everything I was doing wrong. Was he hungry? No, I just fed him. Diaper wet? Nope, it's clean. Was he hurt? I checked every single inch of his tiny body. Nothing. The evenings were the worst. As the sun would set, this sense of dread would just wash over me. I knew what was coming. Hours of pacing the floors, bouncing, shushing, driving around at 2 a.m., my own tears mixing with his. I was drowning in advice from well-meaning family, friends, and the endless scroll of the internet. Everyone had a theory, a miracle cure, a judgment disguised as a suggestion. I tried everything. Nothing worked. It wasn't until I finally started questioning what I thought colic was that we finally found some peace. In this video, I'm going to share the 5 big colic myths I used to believe and the truth that changed everything for our family. Letting go of these ideas was the first real step to ending the cycle of stress and exhaustion and finally being able to breathe again. And if you're in the thick of it right now, the first thing you need to know is you are not doing anything wrong. Smiley face myth number 1. Colic is caused by painful, trapped gas. This was the big one for me. It just seemed so logical, right? My baby would pull his little legs up to his chest. His face would get bright red, and his belly felt as tight as a drum. Every cry sounded like it was being forced out by this bubble of agonizing pain. The conclusion was obvious. He must be full of gas. So my life became a relentless crusade against it. I spent hours patting his back, twisting him into a dozen different burping positions I saw online. My hand was perpetually sore. We tried gripe water, gas drops, special bottles, you name it. I'd spend entire feedings focused on getting that one, single, magnificent burp, believing it was the key to a quiet evening. When it didn't come, or when the crying started anyway, I'd just feel this fresh wave of failure. I couldn't even burp my baby right. But here's the truth that finally set me free. The idea that colic is caused by trapped wind just isn't backed by science. Studies that have actually looked at the amount of gas in colicky versus non-colicky babies found no real difference. The air a baby swallows is either burped back up or passed out the other end as a normal toot. It doesn't get trapped in a way that causes hours of screaming. In fact, it's way more likely that the extra gas is a result of the colic, not the cause. Think about it. Babies swallow a ton of air when they're crying that hard for that long. Realizing this was a huge shift. It meant I could stop the frantic, obsessive burping. It meant I could stop blaming myself when the gas drops didn't do anything. The problem wasn't some pocket of air I was failing to release. The problem was colic itself, and by letting go of the gas myth, I could finally start looking for what actually helps. Myth number 2. The crying means my baby is in serious pain or has a hidden medical condition. This myth fed my absolute deepest fears as a parent. The sounds my baby made weren't just cries. They were screams, high-pitched, piercing. They sounded like pure agony. My mind, completely fueled by exhaustion and anxiety, would race with terrifying possibilities. Does he have a twisted bowel? A hidden hernia? Some rare disease? Every night, I was convinced I was missing something critical, that my baby was suffering and I, his parent, couldn't see it. I remember one night, after 3 straight hours of screaming, I was literally about to go to the emergency room. The only thing that stopped me was that, in between the episodes, he was a happy, healthy, gurgling baby. He was eating well, gaining weight perfectly, and smiling at me in the morning. The disconnect was so confusing. Here's the reassuring truth. While it is incredibly distressing to watch, the crying that comes with colic is not typically a sign of pain or a medical problem. By definition, colic is the term for excessive crying in an otherwise healthy baby. One of the most telling things I learned is that while you'd think a baby in agony would be flooded with stress hormones, studies looking at cortisol levels haven't consistently found the high levels you would expect from serious pain. Now, this comes with a very important disclaimer. You should always rule out a medical issue with your pediatrician. If the crying comes with other symptoms like a fever, vomiting, not gaining weight, or bloody diapers, you need to get medical advice right away. But for the vast majority of colicky babies who are growing and developing normally, the crying is the issue, not a symptom of some deeper, hidden illness. Internalizing this let me shift my focus from panic to management. I wasn't searching for a hidden disease. I was learning how to comfort my healthy baby through a really tough phase. Myth number 3. Colic is my fault. It's caused by bad parenting or poor bonding. This was the most painful one. It was that whisper in the back of my mind during the darkest hours. Maybe I'm too anxious. Maybe my stress is rubbing off on him. Am I not holding him enough? Am I holding him too much and spoiling him? Do we just not have a good bond? The self-blame was this heavy, suffocating blanket. It felt so personal, like his cries were a direct reflection of my failures as a mother. When you're doing everything you can and your baby is still screaming, it's so easy to turn that criticism inward. You see other parents with their calm, sleeping babies, and you just think, what are they doing that I'm not? The guilt is overwhelming, and it makes you feel so alone. Here is the absolute, unequivocal truth. Colic is not your fault. It is not caused by your parenting style, your anxiety, or anything you did or didn't do. What we understand now is that it's a complex developmental phase, likely involving a mix of things like an immature nervous system trying to handle all the new sights and sounds of the world, or a gut that's still developing. It happens in up to a quarter of all infants, in all kinds of families with all kinds of parenting styles. It's a temporary phase that so many perfectly healthy, loved babies go through. Letting go of this myth is an act of self-compassion. You are not a bad parent. You are a good parent in a very, very hard situation. A baby's cry is biologically designed to be one of the most stressful sounds a human can hear. You're not imagining it. You are not failing. You are surviving one of the toughest challenges of early parenthood. Giving yourself grace isn't just a nice thought. It's essential for your own mental health, which is the most important tool you have to get through this. Okay, we have 2 more myths to bust. And these are the big ones about all those miracle cures everyone loves to suggest. But before we get to those, I just want to take a breath. If you're sitting there nodding along, if any of this is making you feel even a tiny bit less alone, then hit that subscribe button. My whole goal here is to share what I've learned on this chaotic ride of parenthood to help other people feel more supported. And please let me know in the comments, which one of these myths have you heard the most? Sharing our stories is how we take away their power. Myth number 4, a special formula, comfort milk, or medication will cure it. Once I started to accept that my baby wasn't sick and I wasn't a terrible parent, my focus shifted to finding a fix. And let me tell you, the world is full of products that promise a cure. The baby aisle at the store basically became my second home. We tried hypoallergenic formulas, soy formulas, those expensive comfort formulas. All of them. I bought probiotic drops, lactase drops, and every other over-the-counter remedy that some parents swore by online. Each new purchase came with this little surge of hope, followed by that familiar crash of disappointment. Our bank account got lighter, our shelves got more cluttered, but the crying didn't change. It was an exhausting and expensive cycle of trial and error, mostly error. The hard truth is, there's no single magic bullet for colic. There is just no solid scientific proof that switching formulas or using special comfort milks reliably cures it. The only exception is in the small number of cases where a baby has a true cow's milk protein allergy or lactose intolerance, and even then, it's not a guaranteed fix for all the crying. Most over-the-counter medicines, like the ones for gas, have also been shown to be pretty ineffective for colic. While some small studies on specific probiotics have shown a little promise in reducing crying time, bigger reviews haven't confirmed they work for all babies, so experts don't routinely recommend them yet. The reality is that colic has a lot of different things contributing to it, which is why something that seems to work for one baby does nothing for another. For us, letting go of the search for a magic potion was so liberating. It stopped the endless cycle of spending money and being let down. We could finally stop looking for an outside cure and instead focus our energy on things we could actually control. Soothing techniques and changes at home that could really make a difference. Myth number 5. Colic always disappears by 3 months, and there's nothing you can do but wait it out. This myth is such a double-edged sword. On one hand, it gives you this glimmer of hope, a finish line. People would say it all the time, just hang in there, it'll magically stop at 3 months. But on the other hand, it makes you feel completely helpless. It suggests that for the next 12 weeks, you're just a prisoner in your own home, stuck listening to the screaming until some invisible timer goes off. For me, this was so disheartening. And when the 3-month mark came and went and the crying, while maybe a little better, was definitely still happening, my hope just plummeted. I felt like we had failed yet another milestone. Not only was my baby colicky, but he was an extra colicky baby who didn't even follow the rules. The truth is more nuanced, and honestly more empowering. While it's true that colic often peaks around 6 weeks and does get better for most babies by 3 to 4 months, it's not a hard and fast rule. For some babies, it can last longer. If crying is still intense past 4 months, it's a good idea to check back in with your doctor to rule out other things like reflux. But the most important part of busting this myth is this: you are not helpless. There is so much you can do. Waiting it out is not the only option. The opposite of searching for a cure isn't doing nothing. It's providing comfort. This phase is about management, not just endurance. We found that things like swaddling, which feels snug like the womb, was a game changer. Walking and rocking gave him that rhythmic, soothing motion he needed. The low hum of a white noise machine helped block out jarring sounds. We even started dimming the lights and turning off the TV in the evenings to lower the stimulation, and it made a real difference. You have tools. You have the power to soothe your child, even if you can't cure them. It's about building a toolbox of comforting strategies and learning what works for your baby on any given day. Realizing this changes you from a passive victim of colic into an active, empowered parent. So, let's just recap the myths we busted. Colic is not just trapped gas. It's not a sign your baby is terribly sick. It is absolutely 100% not your fault. There is no magic formula that will cure it. And you are not helpless until it just decides to end. The weeks we spent in the trenches of colic were, without a doubt, the hardest period of my life. The sleep deprivation was brutal. The feeling of helplessness was profound. But shifting my perspective and letting go of these 5 myths was the turning point. It let me stop blaming myself, stop panicking, and start parenting with confidence and compassion. For my baby, and for myself. If you are going through this right now, please hear this. You are the expert on your baby. You are strong enough to get through this. And this is temporary. I know it feels like an eternity, but it is a phase and it will pass. You are doing an incredible job. If this video helped you, please think about sharing it with another parent who might be struggling and really needs to hear this. And for more practical tips, check out this next video where I share the specific soothing techniques that actually worked to bring some peace back into our home. Thanks for being here. You've got this.